Conversations with Friends. Conversations with Friends.
Conversations with Friends.
Hey, good evening. Welcome to season 2, episode 6 of Conversations with Friends. Tonight we have a full panel, as well as a lot of Storm, who is the co-host, the chef, as I like to say, as well as myself. And we have a nice panel tonight, give an interesting perspective. And tonight's topic, you guys, is blended families. Some of us have came from blended families. Some of us are in blended families. So tonight, we want to discuss it. Some of the things that we may have seen, witnessed, heard, researched about in regard to blended families. How's everybody doing tonight?
Doing all right.
All right, all right.
Everybody
Happy to
good?
be here.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, we'll first start off melodic. I guess you could start it off with the first question. I guess we can go right in.
Okay, so the first topic is parenting within blended families. Who would like to share some of their experiences dealing with parenting in the blended family? Well, let's start off by the definition of a blended family. Let's start there. So a blended family is a family consisting of a couple and their children from this and all previous relationships. So who would like to share their experience, whether you grew up in a blended family, whether you actually actively have a blended family?
Okay, I'll start. Can y'all hear me?
Yes, Carl.
Okay.
Oh, Keisha. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. I am a parent, and I want to say I think it was mainly my children as far as being in the blended family. Especially my son. My children, they all have different dads. I have 3 children. Thank God they're grown. Hallelujah. And we never really had, there was really never a problem. And it's mainly, I have a great relationship with my son's father's wife. Okay. I said that right. My baby daddy's wife. Okay. We travel together.
All right.
Okay. So, and it was like when I met her, I told him, I said, don't, you almost got me out there, Quentin. Don't mess this up. Okay. I like her. If you mess this relationship up, we're going to have a problem, because not only did she take my son in as hers, but she also took my daughters in.
That's a beautiful thing.
And because the thing is, the children didn't ask to be here.
Right.
And once the relationship is over, it's over. And we still have to be friends for the kids' sake.
Mhm.
So it was never me wondering what because my kids asked me, how did you raise 3 kids by yourself? Because I knew once the relationship was over, we were able to mutually walk away and say, you know what, but we could still be friends.
Right.
And it wasn't no arguing, wasn't no fussing and cussing, fighting like that. We were still friends. You need $10, I got it, you got it. I need $10, $20, you got it, you got it. So we were there. We were there for each other regardless of what was going on.
That's a beautiful thing when the adults can remain adults and be mature about the demise of the relationship and still recognize that the children come first and everything that you do should reflect, just a positive environment for your kids. So
Right.
thank you for sharing that.
And I'm just too old.
I know that's right. You're right. How often do you find yourself saying, I'm too grown for this?
Right. Uh-huh.
Would anyone else like to share?
I will go. So I don't come from a blended family. I am not a part of a blended family. I mean, unless you want to look at the church family. But the line of work that I do, I am a child protection service worker. And, having the adopted children come into the fold, or even just having a child who is being fostered in the state of New Jersey, we refer to as resource den. That takes a toll on the parenting piece. That takes a toll on the family dynamic. That takes a toll on just adjusting in general. The adults adjusting, the children adjusting. Um, yeah, it's a lot to take into consideration. But in regards to parenting, there's a lot of supportive things out here, or like services and resources that are very supportive and helpful in trying to alleviate all of the potential for ongoing family drama. That's my perspective.
Okay. Okay. Would anyone else like to chime in?
I'll chime in. I am from a blended family, but this is about my family. I have two daughters. One lives with her other parent, who not so recently married someone else. We have drastically different parenting styles, and it's kind of, for my youngest daughter, she's only 3. It's hard for her to be with Umi one way and then be with them, because we do things differently. So it was like a learning curve for her. And in the beginning, it was really difficult. We got a lot of whining and a lot of all this other stuff. I mean, it's getting better now, but I had to learn that what they do at their house is their business. What we do here is what we do here. Long as, my children are safe there, it's fine, whatever. But it took me some time to get there. Like, this wasn't an instant thing. It took me almost a year to be able to get it. Like, as long as I know my kids are safe and they're taking care of them like they're supposed to, I can't really say anything about what they do in their house. And that took me a long time. And the fact that my children love another woman was another thing. But, okay, it's okay. Now,
Right.
this has been at least 3, this has been 2 years ago. So now it's okay. Before I was just like, yeah, no. But now we've talked and, we figured it out, basically. And that's basically what you got to do. You can't go into it like, who was that? And while you talking to my kids, you got to kind of, I don't know, put your big girl panties on and be like, okay, this is about the kids. It's not about me and my feelings and that failed relationship or whatever. It's about the kids.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That, I mean, I think nowadays there are tons of blended families, and most first marriages are about, I think 40% of them end in divorce. So that's definitely reality for us in 2023, that, you actually, and especially, once you get older, you will definitely 9 times out of 10 meet someone who has children, or you will have children. And, no one wants to die alone. Let's be honest. And we have to learn to coexist and coexist as mature adults. I think that's a struggle for a lot of people, because I've said it before and I'll say it again. It is mandatory for you to grow older, but it is not mandatory for you to mature. Was anyone raised in a blended family?
Yeah, but I didn't see any issues. I mean, it wasn't no issues at all.
Okay.
I was.
I was too.
Okay. I wasn't raised in a blended family. I'll share a little bit about myself. I wasn't raised in a blended family, but I was an adult when my mother remarried. And her husband had 2 children from his previous marriage. And then my mother's husband's ex-wife had 2 children from her second marriage. And it was crazy because we all get along very well. It was actually amazing. We would have barbecues depending on, whose birthday or celebration or whatever it is, whoever's celebration it was. And we all got along very well. We would love to spend time with one another. My mother's husband's ex-wife would come to the function. She was extremely pleasant, and we would just have a really, really good time. So I have quite a few friends and family members who have blended families, and for the most part, they're all positive. And I think that if we look at other people and we take in the good from them, we can learn things ourselves to better our relationships.
Mm-hmm. I come from a blended family. My dad has 5 biological children, and I have 5 step siblings too.
Okay.
Now, I know that's a lot of kids. No more than 6 of us live together. I am the 3rd oldest. So, but yeah. My stepsisters and brothers, and I'm only saying that step word because of the topic, but we're sisters, we're brothers, we love each other, we love our kids.
Right.
I'm Auntie Carla,
Right.
I mean, we all get along like it was nothing. Now, I'm not going to say our parents do, but we do. My mom cannot stand the ground that my dad walks on, so they can't be in the same zip code, but all of us kids get along great. My stepmother, my stepfather didn't get married till I was 30, but she been in my life since I was 12.
Okay.
So she been my stepmother since I was 12. And when she became my stepmother, she wasn't one of those wicked stepmothers. I was one of her kids, and I did what her kids did, and I had what her kids had, and it was never a thing for me or any of my siblings. So we didn't have any issues. The issues came when the parents didn't get along, when my mom and her didn't get along, or one of my brother's mom, because all of my father's children have different mothers. So when the moms didn't get along, then it was an issue, but the kids always got along. Mm-hmm. Even now, like I live in a whole nother state. They still call me. We all get along.
Okay. That's a beautiful thing. That's a beautiful thing. Basically, you just increase your family size, and you actually those are people that you choose to interact with, and that's a great thing. I do have the next topic we're gonna touch on regarding blended families is going to be co-parenting. So, in regards to co-parenting, does anyone have any experience with co-parenting with an ex?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Well, let's go.
I don't think I had this issue, and my son is an adult. I had this issue one time where her boyfriend, when you co-parent with the parent, you tend to always think that accessibility is open all the time. So I was used to that. That was what she had towards me when it came to picking up the phone in regards to my son. So we always had that open door policy.
Okay.
But one time, a boyfriend at the time, he said to me, he said, "Yo, you ain't gotta call her if something going on with him. You could call me." I had to tell him that's not gonna happen, my man. And I thought it was very interesting that he even approached me like that, because I felt as though that I should have established a better boundary back then, but I didn't because it was basically up in the air. But that was the first and last time that he ever even said anything to me about my son. Because I told him this is not your affair, and I won't allow you to be part of my affair, regardless of how long or whatever you and her plan on doing.
Right.
And vice versa. It was more of not being proactive instead of just allowing something to happen, and then when it happened, it's like, oh shit, now it needs to be addressed instead of saying, well, what if? Because I believe that if I was in that same situation now, maybe the conversation would have been had. Definitely when you're dealing with a younger child. My son was about 4 years old at the time. I would have addressed it. But as far as the co-parenting, I mean, I think me now, I don't say much. I'm not that parent that over I over parents a grown child. I don't overparent a grown child. I'm more laid back. Me and my son have a very interesting relationship. But when it comes to even now, when it comes to serious issues that I will deem serious, even though he's grown, I will talk to his mother and we'll have a conversation in reference to him, and vice versa if it's a situation that she may deem serious.
Okay. So I guess my question for you, Q, is so do you suggest that um with a co-parenting situation or blended family that you sit down and you set boundaries with the other adults to make sure that everyone's comfortable and just
Well,
respecting each other's feelings?
I must say that when you mention that word boundaries, me being on a panel with you five ladies and me knowing you five ladies, that boundaries is the essence of every relationship.
Absolutely.
It must be established no matter who you got a relationship with, whether it's a opposite sex, whether it's the same sex. If you have a relationship with anybody, boundaries need to be set and they need to be established going forward. Because if that does not happen, we tend as human beings to assume. Hindsight 2020, yes, if you are going through something like this, establish some boundaries because as parents, I personally believe we all want the euphoria. We don't want no beefs. We want to ease into the situation. Definitely, if you meet, for me, if you meet a nice female, you want to be the greatest stepdad, sort of say. And you don't want to be no problem. You're not trying to become the father. You just don't want no issues.
Right.
Um, However, definitely when they're small, it may be issues. I think when they get older and if they're grown, it's more of an understanding and a more of a different type of relationship. But when they're
Mhm.
young, you need to have that conversation. You need to, I believe you need to have that talk, have those conversations, and not just think that am I choosing this dude or this female over my child? Am I choosing my child? Like I want to be happy too, but my kid's always been first. So I think it's a very, very interesting situation that and this is why I'm so blessed to have you, Melodic, to pick this great topic because there is no wrong answer, I believe. I just think it's need to be talked about. Each
Agreed.
individual case needs to be talked about.
Agreed. I think you can talk about anything, honestly. And if the two individuals are sane and mature enough,
Carmen, you
you
real
can get through
quiet down
anything.
there.
Oh, I'm just waiting my turn. I have an experience. I have a 9-year-old daughter. So as far as my co-parenting, our co-parenting, um, I prefer to I get along with whomever he's with. And I think that's important because my daughter's there. And for me, it's always a great outcome because it's more help. It's more help. And sometimes I can talk to her his significant other about things that pertaining to my daughter that sometimes men don't think about the same things that women talk about pertaining to children. So I have a good relationship with them.
Okay.
And it's for me it's important because my child is there. Now if I feel anything sideways is going on, then that's shut down completely. So but yeah, it's a big help for me.
Okay.
Me too. My oldest is 6, and when she goes to her other parents' house, I talk to her stepmother. Something going on, she'll call me. I'll call her. Hey, my daughter needs this, or we doing this, or whatever. It took us a while to get there, but we're there because at the end of the day, we had a conversation. Like, it's about the kids. I don't care what y'all got going on, as long as the
Right.
kids is straight. Like, it's just a thing. We even got a schedule. Like, the kids are with me on the weekends. They go over there during the week. Like, we worked it out, I guess. And we don't really like each other. We don't really care to be in each other's company, but we will when it comes to the kids. Like, I'm never
Is
gonna
that why
hang
you
out with
always? That's why
a
you
person.
keep saying the other parent, the other person's.
No, I
Carla.
keep saying her other parent because it's a woman.
Oh, okay,
So
okay.
yeah,
Because I'm like, oh, she really don't like her dad.
no, no, but their stepmother, like, I mean, I don't really, as a like a friend or something, she would never be my friend, but she takes care of my kids, so I
Right.
have to have some kind of relationship with her. So we're cool. We're
Hmm.
not like arguing, beefing. Like, I'm not a crazy baby mother or anything like that. In the beginning, I probably was. I'm not gonna lie to you. I probably was for about a year. So, but after that, after I got my mind right, you know, we sat down and talked about it. Like, it's about the kids. I don't care about none of that other stuff, side stuff. It's about the kids. So
Yeah.
after that, we was good to go. Right, Carl?
That's right, Carla. I look forward to the summers. You know, it gives me a break. Co-parenting for me gives me a break. You know, summer vacations, school clothes. It's a big help. It's a big
Right.
help. So for me, you know, as far as her dad and I, we've become friends. And the good thing is, it works out better this way for
Right.
us and for my daughter.
For everyone involved,
Right.
exactly.
Everyone involved. Yes.
Amen. There's nothing like peace of mind, that's for sure.
Mhm.
Yes.
Let's see, with me, I'm different. My situation, I'm a novice at this. I've been just about this week coming would be just about a year. I started my co-parenting, and there's a lot of boundaries that I had to set. There's a lot of effective communication that I had to put in place, because it's easy to have ineffective communication, like that's light work, but to be mature and have effective communication, in regards to the boundaries, in regards to the routines, in regards to the nutritional aspects, in regards to just the growth and the development of the child. I only have one. Um, it's it's different, especially when you go from a two-parent household to now being a single parent. Um, I mean, women not, and there are some fathers who do take on the leadership role in regards to the children, but primarily women, because we're natural nurturers, we just instantly jump in and do what we got to do. But
Mhm.
then when you have an other, um, you got to learn them too. Then you got to figure out how, like, to find that niche. So in the year that I have been dealing, becoming a co-parent or being a co-parent, there's, from my understanding, I don't know if there's another woman or not. I could care less. Just as long as there is nothing going on with my child is not being harmed. My child is, or I'm sorry, our child is not being harmed. Our child is not being taught to disrespect me. And I'm not teaching her to disrespect her father or her paternal side. Um, then we good. And
Right.
what y'all do over there, if the rules are a little laxed over there, that's over there. But when you come over here, you gonna shape up and do what you need to do. And
Right.
so I make that a very definitive thing. Like, I don't celebrate. We just had the holidays. I don't celebrate Christmas. Praise God, whatever, y'all do that over here. But when you coming over here, we gonna be on a different type time. And I was goofing around with my baby girl, and I told her I'm the Grinch, and she just laughed it off. And I'm like, okay, but you know that mommy don't do this over here. And it was nothing, like, I never threw off on him. And I said, whatever you and daddy do, that's fine. Daddy loves you. Like, I just try to pour love into the co-parenting relationship,
Right.
because I seen it how detrimental it is when it's that bickering, or, well, your dad, well, he's supposed to be paying child support. Oh, well, your mom over here, she getting child support. So I don't know why you looking rugged, like ragged. That is so counterproductive to the development of our future. So
Monica, let me, if you
yes,
don't
sir.
mind, may I ask you a
Mhm.
question? Do you think that you're so attentive to your situation because you work in the field and you like, you know what? I seen, like you said, you seen so many things that are counterproductive that you're like paying extra attention to it. Like, no, regardless of what me and the father got going on, we gonna do what's best for my daughter. Do you think that your background with the type of employment you have puts a little bit more emphasis, or you haven't looked at it like that?
I look at it from all different perspectives. I think that number one, like I said, I go to church, so I pray on it. If God, makes me aware and just says, be productive and not counterproductive about it, yes. With the line of work, yes, I have been working for child protection services for 11 years. Am I hypersensitive to it? I would say not really, because everybody, like the cases that I have, they're broken homes and they're trying to heal from it. So I don't want to have that stigma of every single time something doesn't go right. I have those binoculars on, or those glasses on, where it's like, oh, well, this is a major deficit. So this is how every single family, like our motto is like, it's not cookie cutter. So I try not to stay in that mind frame either. Is every situation is going to be different. The way that my brother and then my sister-in-law did it, I'm not going to do it that way. The way that my mom and my dad did it, I'm not going to do it that way. It's to each his own type of situation.
Okay. Thank you for sharing. Now I have another topic I'd like to introduce to the panel. What happens when you have resistant children within the confines of a blended family? What are your thoughts on that?
Oh,
That's a
Jesus.
good question. Uh,
It is.
and I guess it would be hard to answer because the children were just being children,
Mhm.
you know. And I think when they're not teenagers, I think if it happens during the teenage years, where the teenagers are used to mom and dad being together, but then all of a sudden mom and dad is not together, then it might be a little tug of war there. But when they're babies just love me, give me a toy, give me some food, take me to get some ice cream to the park, and we good. I don't care who does it, mommy or daddy, or mommy and daddy, or stepmom, you know.
Right.
But it's when those when those teenagers know what's going on, as much as you try to hide it or try to keep it from the teens seeing it, they'll know, and then they'll be like, well, Dad, you did this to mom, or Mom, you did this to Dad. That's when mom and dad got to come together and talk to the kids and like, look, mom and dad still love each other, but we just can't be in the same house together.
That's it.
We still love each other. Don't, and it's nothing that you did. It's all on mom and dad.
Miss Keith,
Because
something real quick? In the midst of the transition of my family, I actually got a book, and I'm not promoting this book because I don't even know who the author is. But that book helped my daughter to understand, when we separated. Number one, God put it on my heart to have a sit down. And her father was like, wait a minute, she's too young. No, these little kids are brilliant. They're
Yes,
not
Absolutely.
stupid. So,
Absolutely.
I sat her down and was like, listen, daddy is going to have his house. Mommy's going to have her house. We are still a family, just as much as grandma has her house over here and Pop has his house over there. We're still a family. We're, like you said, we're just in separate homes. We still genuinely care about each other, because sometimes the love is lost, whatever, that ship is sailed. But genuinely, here we are. We're
Right.
still a family. We're just under different roofs. We're still a puzzle piece, like a puzzle. We're just on different ends of the puzzle, but we're still connected. We're still a unit. But
Right.
I'm sorry, I had to get that out before I forgot.
No worries. Thank
one of
you.
the
Thank
one
you
of
for
the
that.
obstacles that excuse me, one of the obstacles that I faced was
Mhm.
I had my son on the weekends,
Okay.
but I was in a relationship with someone else who had children.
Okay.
So even though the weekends was more of we were all doing something, it appeared to him at the time, because he never said nothing to me. He told his mother. It appeared to him that I was spending more time with them. And what I had to explain to him is I live there. I live with them. Um, so one time, he did kind of like show how he felt, because he
Mm,
felt as though I wasn't giving him the attention that he thought that he should have gotten. So I was a little, in my eyes, a little aware of the situation, but I was to the point like, what are you talking about? You bugging? Because I stuck to my guns. I don't think, if going back at it, I don't think I did anything wrong at the time, but it was the perception, and I did care about my son's feelings and how he felt, and I really wanted him to tell me, but he had told his mother, and from another parent's standpoint, I'm like, well, why he ain't tell me that? He
mm,
could tell me, like I'm the one he could tell, because as parents we chose different roles, and I was the more of the understanding parent. She was the one that stayed in his butt as far as disciplinarian. So I was like, yo, why he ain't tell me? You bugging. He ain't like that. He ain't say all that. So then me and him, actually, he was about 7 or 8, and we had a conversation. And I said, yo, why you ain't tell me? And he was like, nah, dad, So me experiencing it, like I said, a couple times when he was younger, I know when the kids are young, um, you have to really let people know that they're important. Still, nothing has basically changed. Um, it was times where I would go to his school and get him out of school. I'd sign him out and be a chill with me for the rest of the day. I was like, yo, don't tell your mother I got you, yo. I mean, don't tell her I took you out early, but you gonna hang out with me. I'll just tell her I picked you up at the regular time, but we hanging out for the day. Because I wanted him to know, like, you are still my son and you are special.
Right.
I didn't want him to see me with, as he would say, another family and be like, oh, what's up? So we went on some family vacations together, and it was all cool. And like you guys said, that came from those type of blended families. Even now, he's very close with those two young ladies, because all of them is grown now. So I
Right.
guess I would say we did it right, but like I said, it's no right or wrong way to go about it. Everybody tries their best.
I got something to say about this. Okay, so I have a big sister. She's 4 years older than me. She used to come to the house on the weekends. She never really lived with us, but she would come, visit on the weekends. And when she turned 16, my dad bought her a car. You want to talk about somebody who was hot? It was me. Why did she get a car? Why did she get a car? So my dad sat me down and was like, listen, you're here every day. I spend inordinate amounts of money on you every day. I see her twice a month. So I'm like, but why did you buy her a car? Me and my big sister, we don't get along too well because she feels like, whole nother story, but she feels like my mother stole my father from her because he was with her mother, and then now all of a sudden he married to my mother, and then here come Carla. So, she was kind of, even now that we're grown in our 40s, she's still kind of on that type of time. But whatever. I was mad that he bought her a car. So I started acting crazy and rebelling out. I was like 12 or 13 years old or whatever. I got suspended from school. And he's like, what is going on? Is all this about that car? Yes, it's all about that car. Because I feel like you love her more than you love me.
mm,
But it wasn't true. But that's what I felt at the time because in the moments that he had her around, he did show her more attention, but it's only because he only had her twice a month. I was there every day.
Right.
He lived with me,
Mm.
so
I think that with parents in general, and I'm sure other people can on the panel can agree. If you have multiple children, I don't think you love one child more than you love the other. In all honesty, I think you have different relationships with each one.
Right.
So sometimes I think that it can come across like, oh, well, you love this one more than me, or you love that one more than me. But in all honesty, I can honestly, I have 3 children, and I can honestly say I don't love any one more than I love the other. But I have absolutely different relationships with every single one of them.
Right.
That's what they say about my middle daughter. They tell me, "Oh, Ma, you love her more." No, she's a little bit more calm-headed. You know, and it's like with each child, you have to cater to that different personality.
Absolutely.
Maybe once in a while, the personalities might come out as the same, but the majority of the time, each one has a different personality. Each one has a different part of me, a different part of their dad,
Right.
and you have to handle it accordingly.
Agreed.
Like my
Crystal,
youngest daughter, that chick is truly her daddy's child. Okay, and I can't handle her like I handle my middle daughter, because my middle daughter, she's laid back, she's quiet, but she's a beast. But she's quiet. This one is just a beast 24/7.
Okay.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
Crystal in the chat said, she said, I treated, this is going to be interesting because I think this is going to talk about a different aspect. I treated his girls like they were my own. And as a mom, I know what it felt like to be a co-parent. So I included the mom in on all things. And it wasn't the other woman that was the problem. It was him.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, sorry.
I think we can address the resentment. I think this is a resentment issue, you guys. When it's lingering, he may have been angry. Just assuming he may have been angry about the breakup, and a lot of times things don't be settled. Um, I can relate with holding certain resentment towards certain things, and you be holding it, and you be holding it, so you be real edgy when it comes to certain issues, and then you gonna wind up lashing out over something that may be very minute. So, me personally, I have seen that resentment and bitterness. Like, um, Monica had mentioned, like, sometimes we be like, well, who around my child? And at the end of the day, you trusted, you laid down with this person to make this child. So you should allow yourself to still trust this person to have the right type of people around your child. And then you see instances where people be going too far. Like, don't have my child around your friends. Well, they was around his friends or her friends
Before.
when y'all were together. You know what I mean? So I think that comes from a place of resentment.
Well, you know what, Q? Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
No, just to speak on that, I had a situation where, okay, whatever, you move on. I do hair, like I do my daughter's hair. I am very adamant about who has their hands in my daughter's hair. It's a form of hygiene. And I ended up having COVID one time, and for lack of better words, the hair exploded from the style that it was in. And I had to set that boundary. But once again, I had to effectively communicate. Now, was I at 1,000 when I first found out? Yeah. But I had to, okay, bring it in because you were helping me out because I was sick, but also you got other people that you could have went to. You could have went to a professional, you could have did whatever. But it's those boundaries, it's how to maneuver through the BS. Like, can we just maneuver through the BS without like fueling the BS? Okay, this is a teachable moment. And I think I've been using that word a lot. Not in this year, but in 2022, there's a lot of teachable moments, and there's a lot of ways for growth and how to respond to those teachable moments instead of being, everything being counterproductive. But it definitely took some time. It wasn't easy to get to that level of comfortability with the co-parenting. Like, you're gonna have some hiccups. You're gonna have, like I said, you're gonna have those teachable moments. But
For
I guess
sure.
this, the
I
situation
agree
was
with
good.
you. I absolutely agree with you. You know what's funny? I think that all of us as individuals, when you say teachable, you can use that as a teachable moment. I think that a lot of us, sometimes we listen to conversations that between ourselves and, our girlfriends or, male friends. And sometimes people are afraid to say, hey, you were tripping. Like, you co-parent with this person, you sound like you're letting your ego get in the way, and you really should not let your ego get in the way. At the end of the day, you always need to do what's in the best interest of the child,
Yes.
and I think that if a lot of us stepped up a little more and were a little bit more vocal, like when certain people are like, tripping, we could help each other out, in all honesty.
I'm the first one. I'll go to my tribe. I'm like, look, y'all, am I tripping? Am I doing too much? Am I just over analyzing? I'm a Virgo. Am I over analyzing? Am I overthinking? Like, am I really looking at this situation too? And I was about to make up a word. Am I looking at it too? Am I looking at it too, like, intensely? You know what I mean? And I get my tribe is in their 70s. I have some who are in their early 30s. I have some who are in their, in their 40s and 50s. So I double check, triple check.
Right.
And then on top of that, as I listen to these humans, I should not have listened to the humans first. I should have went to God first. God, what do I need to do? Because he knows all, he sees all. It could have been an innocent ordeal, and now I'm rah-rah and acting all crazy when it was just something so innocent. But that's where the effective communication comes in. That's where the productivity comes into play instead of all of this extra stuff. So once again, teachable moment. Sometimes stay quiet, give it to God, and then God will give you what to say and how to address the situation all the way around, in parenting and co-parenting and marriages and whatever have you. Even at work with the cases that I have, there's been so many times that I didn't even realize that through conversations with these broken mothers, with these broken fathers, I'm literally doing healing work, and I didn't even know. I'm just the ear to these women, to these men. I had one case. God, I felt so bad for this man. He had he had a blended family, 2 baby moms. They died within 3 months of each other. So now he's a single father of 4. He's out here trying to work, but he don't have a support system. And then you got another man. I can't make up half of the stuff that I see at work. And then all these parents need is just a listening ear. Sometimes they don't have a tribe. They don't have a support. And sometimes they exhaust their support and they're like, well, who do I go to? And you can't, you know what I mean? You can't sit here and tell these people, because professionally, I can't tell them, go to God. Here, use this resource. Well, this resource treated me some type of way, so I don't trust this resource no more. So then you tell them to go somewhere else. And then it's like, okay, well, I'm the only support. So now I got to take up, 4 or 5 hours out of my 7-hour workday just to de-escalate this mom or de-escalate this dad and really try to work with them and encourage them to do what they need to do, because it's hard. It's really hard sometimes being a parent. It's hard just being an individual sometimes.
Absolutely. So layer that with being a parent in a blended family situation where you're also taking on additional family members, a new spouse, etc. So it's definitely difficult. I just wanted to point out 3 common challenges blended families face. The first one is coping with sacrifice. So young children especially may not realize how many changes will take place once other siblings come into the picture. The second one is maintaining inclusivity. That's a really hard one. Just because children are very, they require a lot of attention. So let's say you have 3 children and your new spouse has 3 children as well. Imagine trying to balance that out. And the third challenge is keeping up with schedules. So, I mean, we all want to make sure that we give our children the best opportunities and introduce them to new things, and just keep them, thriving. So, imagine carting 6 different children to 6 different extracurricular activities, cultural activities, educational activities. It's difficult. It's definitely difficult. But those are some of the challenges that some of the main challenges that basically infect blended families.
Carmen,
You
you
said,
real quiet, young lady.
Mhm.
I said you real quiet down there.
My brain was all over the place because I'm trying to stay on topic. I feel like it takes a lot of discipline, self-discipline, like as far as just co-parenting in general, blended families in general. I think we have to be careful asking for advice from just anyone unless it resonates because we all do things differently. And sometimes people can come from a bitter place when they give you advice. They'll be like, girl, if I was you, I would do this. Or, but you're not. You're not. So I think it's important to just always be in tune with yourself and have a secure bond with your child. And try to just keep the peace by any means necessary. That's maturity. So that's how I
Agreed.
feel.
Oh, we got a question here, Melodic. What does anyone think about blended interracial families?
I think
I,
I pretty much agree with you. I don't know. I haven't had that experience, but I don't think
I,
race matters.
right. I don't think the
I,
color or the race should matter, um, because children are children.
Right.
I don't know if you've ever been in a food store somewhere and they used to crack me up because at one point I'd be like, these Caucasian or Chinese people, they don't have this issue. Well, I was in a store one day and I saw this Caucasian lady yoke her child up. I said, okay, all right, she not having it either. So the color shouldn't matter,
Right.
because color is only the top layer of the skin.
I have a biracial sibling. My younger sister is biracial. It didn't matter. Her mom was just her mom when they were together, and she was the other woman in my father's life. She treated all of us the same too. It doesn't matter.
yeah, I've never been in that situation. I do think when you're dealing with the opposite race, you ladies, definitely the ones that got sons. You've had to talk. I've heard the talk. I think that talk always still needs to be extended. Definitely when it comes to race, people. I do think people need to understand that it is a racial issue still here, and I know that sometimes you may not look at it from that lens, but society is the way it is, and society can be cruel, and we need to continue to educate. And if you are in that situation, you need to understand that there's certain boundaries that you can't cross. I'm quite sure if it was children in a interracial blended family, it could be a culture shock.
Right.
Definitely if they've never dealt with white people. That could be a very big culture shock. I've seen it within friends that I have that never been around white people ever a day in their life. Just from a point of view of conversation, you'll tend to think, like Keisha said, that they don't go through the same thing, have the same social problems that we may have, which is not true. So I think that that conversation, like I said prior, is part of being proactive and discussing it early, and getting it out there, getting it out there. Like, yo, this is going to be your sister, or your brother. You can't be having your friends call them names, their race. Kids can be very, very,
Right.
or quote unquote embarrassed. Oh, I know. Oh, how I got. Oh, now I got a sister or a white brother. They making fun of me at school. So I think as parents, I think it's best to be proactive in those type of situations. We have to foresee stuff before it happens. So an ounce of prevention is better than a cure, I would say, right? I'm getting feedback from somebody's
Yeah.
microphone. I don't know what it is. Usually, what happens, excuse everybody in the chat and the show, but what happens is it comes from your mic and your headphones crossing. So um, it could be you might have other things running on your phone and or computer. Yeah, Crystal, we hope that we addressed it for you. Malata, you could continue, please. Excuse me. Malata, you froze?
No, I'm not frozen. Can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can.
Okay.
It's a,
No.
it's a little delay.
Okay.
One of
So,
go ahead.
I wanted to move forward. So, I'd just like to throw this out here. With blended families, who should discipline the biological children? Let's go.
The biological
Biological
parents.
Absolutely. Agreed. Agreed.
Oh
So are we all in agreement, all six of us?
no,
Yeah.
no,
No?
No.
Okay.
no.
Okay. Let's go.
No.
Come on, Q. Let's go.
Like I said, this conversation needs to be dealt with immediately. Definitely, if you know, as we say, you know your child,
Hmm.
and you know your child could be real slick with the tongue. Um, so you may feel like uh, I can't discipline her kids. If I'm just using me for an example, when you are the man, as we would say, you are the man of your house. You're not gonna allow nobody to come in your home and disrespect you. I think that I believe that one of the things that we don't do properly, and I'm not trying to take away from the subject, is we don't choose properly.
Mm.
I think if we chose properly, I would not mind the lady that I'm with to discipline my son. I
Okay.
wouldn't even be worried about it. I'm being honest, because I know I chose the right person. That
Mm-hmm.
if my son wasn't a grown man, that if she did have to discipline him, that means he got out of order to the
Okay.
point where he disrespected my home and disrespected her. I think sometimes I don't have time to wait to tell his mother because some discipline need to be dealt with right there and now. Um, I think if I was, I'm quite sure when my son did act out, I'm quite sure that was he disciplined by her boyfriend at the time. I'm quite sure he was. Maybe I didn't know about it, but I'm quite sure he was. And I probably wouldn't have if he would have told me, I probably wouldn't have been mad because at the end of the day, for me, I always had that trust factor. Well, if she chose him, I know how she feels about my boy. She's not going to make a bad choice when it comes to a character of the type of individual she's dealing with. That's just me. That's just me. And I know it's unique, you guys, uh, because I know how people feel about touching other people's kids.
I was just about to ask.
What's
Go ahead, Carmen.
like what's the form of discipline? You know what
That's
I'm saying?
yeah.
Like,
That's what
because
it is.
it's a big
Punishment,
difference.
spank,
It's a big
punishment, spanking, etc.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you're not spanking my kid.
No.
You can punish my kid, and my kid do something like
Right.
out of pocket. I get that. You're punished, whatever. But you put your hands on my kid, we got a problem. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And maybe it's
And
because
you
I'm a
know,
woman and I have an issue with beating kids anyway. Because I don't beat my kids, you
Mhm.
certainly not going to do that. We're not
you
doing
know,
that.
it's a big difference. Some people don't understand the difference between discipline and abuse.
Absolutely.
I
There
came
is
from a
a
home where
big
they ain't understand the
difference.
difference, and that's why I don't beat my kids because it's a thing. Like,
Right.
no, we're not doing that. But
You know,
if my daughter do something wrong and say she's over there and the stepmother punish her or whatever, fine. But you ain't putting your hands on my kid. We ain't doing that.
and you know, it's so
Um,
funny because one time
go
my
ahead.
son and at that time his wife, you know, they was like, "Oh, we don't spank our children." Well, you don't want grandma to watch them because grandma is not going to kill herself to keep yelling and to keep saying, "I'm big and I need my oxygen to breathe." Okay? Not to continue to keep telling you over and over again, "Stop doing this, don't do this, come over here, sit down, da da da." Mm-mm. Like I said, it's a difference between discipline and abuse. They learn eventually because they started, you know, you have to give out little spankings. You don't have to leave marks, just a little spanking to let them know because sometimes daddy can have that voice. Daddy can say, "What did I say?" or "What did mommy say?" And the child will respond like that. So sometimes when mommy comes, "Oh, don't do it." They're looking at you like, "Shut up, lady. You're not going to do nothing." you know?
See,
And
I
that
like
was
that.
that was the issue in my situation, Keisha. Is I think when it came to discipline, I think my son would rather deal with me than deal with his mother. Honestly, no, honestly, like, whew, I was more. She's a disciplinarian. I mean, but I understand the place that she comes from. But I just didn't do that. I I was more of a talker. Um, she's a strict disciplinarian because that's the way that she believes was effective. And who am I to tell the other parent you're doing it wrong? I never got in the middle of it. I just be like, you sure you want your mother to deal with you or me to deal with you? And eventually he figured it out.
I think you also have to know your child too.
I
You could
agree.
tell when your child is just doing way too much.
Right.
Well, I also think with so I agree with what you said. That some people don't know the difference between discipline and abuse. That's one. But also with punishment.
Hmm.
Sometimes some people can be extremely punitive in a situation where it's not necessary. That's why I feel like honestly, me personally, I feel like the discipline should come from the biological parent. Um, Now, I also feel like within a blended family, I feel like the couple should speak about whatever is going on within the household with the kids, etc. Because sometimes even the biological parent, like your kids can like frustrate you to no end in certain instances, and sometimes your spouse may talk you off the cliff, like no, like I think you're being too harsh. I think 2 month, not 2 months, sorry, 2 weeks punishment is much. Like you have to think about the crime and whether or not the crime fits the punishment. And so maybe you could say, okay, well, I'm going to take your phone away for 2 days or what have you. So I mean, I definitely think that both of the parents should sit down and talk about the form of discipline, but I think that when it needs to be enforced and rolled out, it should come from the biological parent.
Carmen, you was gonna say something?
Was I? Cause okay, what was I gonna say?
Carmen, your mind down there working. That's what it is
It
doing.
is. It's,
She's all in.
And then
um,
when we get done with the show, you'll be like, I had so much to say and I couldn't.
I know. I don't know. I think I agree. Like I think that it should only be from the biological parents because, as you said, Miss Melodic, you never really know it. You know how the energy behind that spanking. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like the
Right.
other person can be like be upset at the parent, at the biological, and take it out on the child hypothetically.
Exactly.
You know, you just never know. You got to pay. I would pay attention to, even before anything gets worse, pay attention to the vibe, pay attention to how they talk to them. If they
Right.
get mad or, things like that. So that's why I'm not for that. I'm not for, but then Miss Keisha, when you brought up the grandparents, grandma comes, I had to sit back and think like, wait a minute, like, how would I feel if my sister disciplined my child, or how would I feel if my brother or or you know what I'm saying? Like, am I saying absolutely not because it's because it's the biological parents' other half, or I'm open minded about it, but I'm not. Nah, just the biological parents. I don't know.
Right.
It's
Right.
a tough one.
Someone said in the chat the couple should decide how the discipline will be carried out before moving in together or getting married. I agree with discipline, but not hitting.
I thought Carla had something to say. She leaned in. I said,
Oh,
okay,
I
Carla,
was trying to
come
read
in.
the
on
whole
with it, Miss
comment,
Carla.
but listen, maybe I'm different. I don't know.
We all
But like,
are.
I have a stepfather, I have a stepmother. Neither one of them ever disciplined me for anything, and I was a bad kid. Let's be honest, right? My stepmother would just snitch on me to my dad, and then that would be that.
Exactly.
I feel like my kid, well, I don't beat my kids, but then again, my oldest isn't bad. You look at her hard, she very cry and go sit down somewhere. My 3-year-old a no limit soldier, you gotta kind of scream on her a little bit, but like, I feel like it was unnecessary. I got beatings, like not spankings. I got beatings as a kid, so I always said I refuse to do that to my kids. But you see this face, my 6-year-old is terrified of this face. When I give her that look, or I tell my 6-year-old I'm disappointed in you because you did that, that is like killing her, okay? That is like taking every electronic she got, her tablet, turning the TV off, making her sit in the dark by herself. That's what that is for her.
She put on an Oscar performance.
Yes, that's what that is for her. But my 3-year-old now, that's something else. But my 6-year-old, like, she know, like, they don't really do anything extra crazy anyway. But like, beating is not a thing for me. I don't think you need to beat a kid to get them where you need them to be, if that makes sense. Because all kids gonna do crazy stuff sometimes, but I don't think beating them is what needs to happen. And I certainly don't think somebody that ain't their mama or daddy need to beat them.
Right. Right.
Crystal said, what if the biological parent isn't available? Do I sit and wait for you to come home to discipline? I believe if you trust me with the child, you should trust me with the discipline.
I feel like if the biological parent is not available, you should let the child know. First, because some, in all honesty, usually if you approach the child and you let them know, hey, I know what you did and I see what you're doing, and I'm going to speak to your dad or I'm going to speak to your mom, that'll stop them right in their tracks, in all honesty. And then you wait until you can contact the parent and you let them know,
Well, I had a situation like Keisha said, where my mother had to discipline my son. And I'm quite sure my mother didn't discipline him the way she disciplined me. And his mother found out about the incident. He was little. He was about 3 or 4 years old. His mother found out about the incident, blew it up. Me and her started arguing about it. I said, look, my mother disciplined him. Like, yo, what you want me to do? Like, she got it. Like, he was with her. She took care of it. It's no need to even address it. But that went into another issue because she felt as though what he was being disciplined about, the situation could have been worse. And rightfully so, it could have been worse, but at the end of the day, it wasn't worse. And she disciplined him well about it. So we how our families was raised, most of us, it's that tribe, it's the village, it's the grandmother, and everybody know when you got, as we would say, big mama in the house or the aunt, she disciplined us. So how she looked like saying they ain't gonna discipline our kids.
Right.
So I think it's very subjective, and like we say, to
Agreed.
each his own. You do what's best for you. You do what's
Agreed.
best for you guys to make it work.
And
Agreed.
I think when someone says you wait till your dad or mom gets home, but by that time the child have forgot what they did. And not calling the children animals, but we train dogs. You peed right here. This is where you're going to get disciplined at because you don't pee here. Your wee wee pad is over here. This is where you go. So when the child has done something, if it's drastic, okay, or you wait till your dad get home. So in the meantime, they still wreaking havoc in the house, okay? And you in a corner somewhere like, I can't wait till your father get home. But then you have this child tearing up your house.
It done burned the building down already.
Okay? I don't know if y'all ever seen that. I don't know what show it was where the little boy slapped his mother. She was talking to him, and I guess they was on some kind of talk show.
It was Dr. Phil. I know what you're talking about.
Okay. And he slapped her. Well, my guy from Zion had my child slap me. And the problem was because she was not taking care of it at the first time he did it. Had he saw flashes of Jesus in his life the first time he did it, he would have never did it again. My daughter, my oldest daughter, when she was, when they start teething and they have them razor sharp teeth, okay, she rolled up to me in her walker and she bit my leg and it brought tears to my eyes. I didn't hit her. I bent down and I bit her back.
You better know it because I did mine too.
That was the last time she bit anybody. You brought tears to my eyes. I'm going to bring it to yours. And that was the last time she bit anybody.
I knew it was coming.
But after that, none of my kids had issues with biting or hitting.
Okay. I'm gonna move into the next segment now. How long do you believe you should wait to move in together in the blended family unit?
Ooh.
All right, let's go around. Let's go around the panel. So let's start with Carla.
I don't know, because it all depends. How long has this relationship been going on? Have the kids met each other? Did they get along? Did they not? Like, I don't know.
Like, what would be a minimum and what would be a maximum for you?
Minimum, like a year.
Okay.
Max 3.
Okay. Keisha?
That's hard to say because my I feel that if the children are comfortable, you always got to take into consideration of how the children feel.
Right.
Don't just go over there for a couple of hours. Spend the night over. Get the feel of always being in this person's presence.
Right.
But I agree with Carla. Between a year and 3 years,
Okay. Monica?
I'm a novice at this, so the first thing I'm gonna always say is what my mama would say: fast and pray on it. Go to God on it because you don't want to, move too fast. Of course, you don't want to move too slow either.
Right.
So I mean, I've never been in that situation. I mean, I can only speak from, seeing the cases that I'm involved with. But to be honest, I think that would, like Miss Keisha said, spend it's based off of how you spend your time together. Have some overnight, maybe some stayovers or something like that, and see how it goes from there. Build up to it. Don't just be like, oh, we rocking out. All right, yeah, tomorrow y'all moving in. We just going to no, like, it's a process to everything. You gotta,
Agreed.
be strategic in the way that you move.
Agreed. Carmen?
I've never had any other children outside of my home, as far as anyone that I was with move in. But I still think it takes a lot of time because I've done it quickly. I've been one of those people. I'm so in love and I'm this and I'm that, and I've moved someone in quickly, and that was a big mistake because later you find out, that perhaps your child doesn't like that person,
Right.
your significant other. So I think that I don't know. I think it takes. I agree, Carla. 1 to 3 years,
Hmm.
perhaps.
Okay. Now, Q.
My I would say that I've been in those type of situations, and to be intentional with everything you do. I do believe in those kids' ages are very, very important. Very, very important because if they're borderline adults, y'all might move a little bit faster. When they're younger, I believe it's more of a delicate situation. Um, Definitely people getting to know each other, to know you. But I think from a man's perspective, is to be very intentional um, with his intentions on what he's trying to do. Um,
Mm.
because I believe that I'll just say from what we would say is uh, the nuclear family, right? We know things are different now. We know everything is fluid, but from a nuclear family, I believe that a lot of women put a lot of responsibility on a man if he's a man. And I believe that if he's a man and he understands his responsibility, he would be very, very intentional on what he's trying to do. And not just be somebody that's just shacking up.
Right.
How's he coming in? Is he coming in to be the leader of the home? And this is very important because you might be dealing with a woman that's not used to a man being around. The woman may even have an adjustment period because she'd be like, "Oh shit, I ain't got to worry about cutting the grass. This dude do everything, like everything. Like he just know how to be responsible." So I think that as a man, you need to be when you're going into those situations, you need to be very intentional of what you're trying to do and how you're going about it, and that will vary based off of the times and understanding the ages of those children. Because you do, as my cousin would love to say, you do meet sometimes you meet something wrong, not the wrong person, you meet the right person, and they'll try to move too fast, and that could create a issue going forward. Vice versa. So you and the person you're with need to have that conversation and be intentional with what you're trying to do.
Okay. So I'm going to give my my opinion, and I agree with the ladies, but I would say between like 1 and 2 years. I definitely believe between 1 and 2 years because I feel like moving forward, like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years, um, do you really have a blended family at that point if the relationship is not actively progressing to an actual family where everyone lives under one roof? Are you then wasting each other's time and
And
confusing your kids in the long run?
and melodic, that is what I was saying about it being intent, because that
Hmm.
can happen
Right.
because nowadays, and I'm not speaking for all women, but you see a lot of women be like, yo, after 2 years, he ain't asked to marry me, so
Right.
he might not be serious. And then you may have a guy who be like, in my opinion, most guys don't want to get married after a certain amount of time because maybe their money ain't right, maybe they're not where they need to be in life on a personal level. So that conversation is very delicate and it does need to be had early.
Agreed. 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 I do want to say, I know we're coming to a close. So there are 5 tips for blended families. The first one is the couple needs to come first. The second is to manage your expectations. The third is to connection first, discipline later. The fourth is love language, kids and quality time. And the fifth one is always speak of the other parent with respect.
Can you say the second one again?
The second one is manage your expectations.
And what was the third one? I'm sorry.
Okay, the third one is connection first and discipline later. The fourth one is love language, kids and quality time. And the fifth one is always speak of the other parents with respect.
Yes.
We have a statement from someone in the chat. He said, if the two adults comprehend themselves and have a complete comprehension of how and who they are together, then you move in and blend the family. Communication is paramount. Melodic, I want to ask a question in regards to number one of your tips, of the tips. A lot of us will hear that and be like, what do you mean the adults come first? No, my MF child come before anybody. I've been running around here taking care of my kids for 13 years on this earth. They come before any nigga. They come before any chick. They come first. Did they detail in the tips? Did they detail like you know what that means?
I think in regards to the couple comes first, it means that you have to establish your relationship and know, the boundaries, where your relationship stands, etc. And like, okay, so prime example, there are some struggles that you can face having a blended family because again, I say, let's be honest, sometimes days can be long, things can get out of hand. You come home, the kids have blown up your microwave, spilled paint on your rug, like, and when you think about things like that, sometimes that can take a toll on a relationship, on your marriage with the biological parents when you're together. You understand what I'm saying? So now you're asking someone to accept your children from a previous relationship, and it's just like, you have to have a solid foundation. You have to have a solid foundation, and you have to work on that relationship also, as well as the relationship with your children, their children, the family as a whole. And these tips came from brighterdaycounseling.com. If anybody, brighterdaycounseling.com, if anyone would like to go on and check it out.
Great minds think alike. That's where I got the same research from. So, you guys, is it any final thoughts,
right?
Comments, statements? Anyone?
It can be done. Blended family can be done. Just have to have the mindset and the maturity that when a problem arises, that we're going to sit down and talk about it. You might not always agree on everything, but you got to sit down and talk about it, and don't let the kids manipulate you.
There you go. There you go.
I agree.
Anyone else? Carmen?
Yes.
Monica?
No, this is all great. This was some really good, food for thought, and those effective tips. Definitely.
Great.
They definitely are poignant.
Melodic, you have any final thoughts?
My final thought is there's no I in team. It's nothing better than having another mature adult to help foster through the challenges of one, growing older, and two, raising a family, even if those children are not your biological children or not your spouse's biological children. Um, Again, there's no I in team. It's nothing like teamwork. It's nothing like having um, another, adult who can help you through the challenges of life. Let's be honest, it's a challenge.
Um, my final thought will be, as Keisha said, it's doable. It's been a pleasure having this conversation. I believe that I personally believe that we need to have these conversations more because it does not come with instruction kit, so everything is fluid. Most of us learn trial by error, and sometimes things turn out ugly. Whether you're no longer with the person that you're in a relation that wanted to be in a relationship with, wasted time, or you can damage the relationship between parent and child.
Yeah.
And we definitely don't want that because children can hold resentment for years and years and go forth, but we don't want that. So,
Okay.
Carmen, you got any final thoughts?
Uh, no, I don't.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, melodic storm, I appreciate you for a great topic, great discussion. As usual, you awesome. This is beautiful. Um,
I
Carla
appreciate you as well, Keith.
Carla dropped, but uh, Keisha, Monica, Carmen, I appreciate you guys, and I'm quite sure you guys will be back again.
Thank
I
you,
look
ladies.
Yeah.
Thank you for having
Of
me.
course.
with that, everyone. Have a blessed night. Take care, and we will see you soon with episode 7 of season 2. Take care.
All right.